checking to see if my live worked for YouTube, because I don't quite see it yet. So I want to really do a sound check, but it's hard to do a sound check with no link. So hopefully that doesn't delay you guys from getting acclimated. So if you gotta pee, or you want to get something to drink, now is the time. And while I still get this thing together, and I mean it's crazy. I've been doing 20 plus streams, and still finding some pain points. And I want to try something while I'm thinking about this. Oh, interesting. Okay, so if I move the camera that way, it seems like it's more centered onto me, and you can still see my board behind me. Cool. So that's going well with the camera. I can probably tilt it so it's up some. I'll leave it be. Oh, there we go. So now I can see that I'm live. So now I want to go and check the audio. Okay, cool. So audio is good to go. Let's go. So what's happened since the last stream? Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. For the past few days, I've been super excited about this. So I've been coding up until like 3 in the morning. So there's a lot here. I think I committed when you guys were last here. So let's go ahead and just close all of these. I'm gonna save it because I don't know what I actually. I'm just gonna hit cancel so I don't close it. Because I don't know what I changed. Excuse me. I think what I changed, yeah, was this input file. So we can leave that there and like it is, and we're gonna close everything. The reason why I'm closing everything is because I gotta get stuff set back up. A little earlier, I tried to go ahead and use this Ubuntu Terminal because I figured out how to get it working for work, but I couldn't get it working for myself. And I should say that maybe I didn't even install this. I think I got close to it, but I never finished. So I'm just gonna take a second to do this. Reason being is because we're gonna need this, and hopefully this works. Because if I can get this working, we'll have a lot to go off of. However, I don't know how, but I keep having issues with my password, and I mean, I believe I typed the password in right. So now I didn't even know how to get the password set, because I don't know how to get past this screen because I forgot the password, right? So I'm gonna look it up real quick. Forgot sudo password, and I know you guys are probably tired of me doing this, but I do want to show you guys the kind of all the pain points, because of, I mean, this is for me being authentic, right? I want to make sure that I'm showing you guys everything that's real. And actually this is kind of weird because I'm using the Linux subsystem. Forgot password. And in my mind, I had the same password as the password that I used to log in, but I just could not remember it. So this is something interesting. I didn't think of this. Run bash and make a note of your Linux username. This need not match Windows username. Close batch and Ubuntu is running, so let's close this. And Windows admin, so we're gonna go down into this terminal, and this doesn't really matter. This is all local stuff, so you guys can see what's going on here. Yeah. So what we gotta do is Control Shift. If you're using, okay, so let's do Ubuntu, and you see this thing doesn't even have like the. Oh, I gotta do this as an administrator. And hopefully you guys aren't hearing the static in the background. That's my air conditioner. So let's see. I need to do cmd but I need to get this as an administrator. And you know you're an administrator because you're going to come in here as that system32. So let's go ahead and do this. Ubuntu 1804 config dash dash default dash user root. Oh, I don't think I had a password for my root. That's probably what it was. Let's see if I'm lucky. Let's see if I'm lucky. So it might just be like nothing. There's a password. I mean, sudo apt install node.js, I think. So let's just do this. Sudo dash dash v. Oh, too many dashes. So sudo, there we go. Apt install node.js, and then I'm just gonna hit enter. Nah, that's not it. So close it. Default user dash root. Alright, so that worked. Now bash on Ubuntu on Windows logs you in as root without asking the password. So use password command in bash to change the user password. Alright, so let's go ahead and change this password, and then we're gonna say user, wait, oh, so I think it's will, yeah. But use password command in bash to change the user password. I could have sworn in Windows admin. Oh, okay, I see. It took the first one. That's pretty weird. In Windows admin command prompt super, okay, change the default user to. So that threw me off. Now, oh, okay. Now we gotta go back here. I think this is what happened. So now we can go back here. Yep, we're at bash. Perfect. So now we're gonna do password, and then we're gonna say will. Boom. Cool. One. Cool. So now if I go, geez, how do you go back to your user? Oh, look at this. If you are, oh, perfect. So Ubuntu 1804 config and dash dash default. I wanted to see how well this type completion will work. Default dash user, and then we're gonna go will. So now we're just setting our default user back to who it was. So I think I have to do this in Windows. So the thing I'm gonna do is just type my name in. Boom. So now if I close this and open it back up, we just reset the password. So sudo apt install node.js, and 1, 2, 3, 8. Boom. Okay, cool. So maybe I did screw that up. So now let's install node.js. So, oh, and this is actually pretty cool because check this out. They ain't playing. Black lives fucking matter. If you don't understand that, I really can't explain that to you. You know, history, and I don't mean like, 300 years ago history. I mean like things that are happening to this day history. Just, there's so much going on, so many things that people don't talk about anymore just because we became so normal to it that, I guess people just think because people aren't, every single day complaining and, saying what's going on and stuff we're experiencing, that it's not a factor. But I digress. Didn't want to make that point though. So here we go. We got installation instructions. So I believe I did this. I might just be thinking that I did it because I did it on my work computer. So I might be thinking I did it here as well. But can't hurt, right? And I hate, if I gotta type I'm gonna just grab whatever is right here, right? I'm typing exactly this. So let's go ahead and see if this thing is working for us, because we need this thing to work. Control Shift V, and that's the so this is the only thing I haven't been able to figure out. My paste commands don't work anymore, so I don't know. I don't know what the new command is. Shift V, no, that ain't it. And I'm sorry, you guys are hitting a lot of beeps. I just really get frustrated because I got this thing going, and I'm like, okay, I got some stuff I want to copy and paste. So how do I get it in there, right? Oh, there we go. So maybe I didn't copy it. That's embarrassing. Let's see. Okay, cool. So we're getting it installed, so it seems to be working. And we just have one more piece to get done, and then we'll be good to go. So once we do this, we should have it installed. So I think what this does here is it sets the version of Linux that well, Ubuntu that we want to use here, and it's hosted somewhere on this node source URL. So this is telling us exactly what package we're going to be installing. So when it goes down to this aptget, they're like, okay, I know exactly what we're trying to pick up and get and install. So boom, that's it. Let's see, I need to go ahead and copy this as well, because again, I'm not going to type it if I'm seeing it. I'm just going to copy paste. And okay, so cool, they automatically run this get update for me, so I don't have to do anything else. I can just run the next command, and now I believe I should be able to do what I need to do. So I use the same exact monitor, when I'm at work. I just switch the computer. So that's it. Let's give this time to do what it does. It's a little bit more. It's a lot more going on than what we saw when we were using the terminal in Windows and over in VS Code. And the cool thing about this is we can actually have this one up, and then we can still use it over here. We can just change what the default terminal is. So that's cool. Or if you don't want to change the default, you can just go here and say new terminal, and you can pick which one you want. Never mind, I thought it did. You gotta hit that plus. Oh, oops, that's not how it works. All right, let me stop doing that. So hopefully that should be done now. Oh, nope, not done yet. So like I said, I'm gonna be trying to get this thing to run as much as possible, just because I do not like using the Windows terminal. It's just not a fun place. And it's not, I mean, for me, it's really just the tab completion. I mean, that's probably my biggest pain point, because especially when you see how deep into my files that I go sometimes, who wants to keep, CD every single new line? Because I don't like doing a really long line of manually written code, because errors, I can't spell. So why would I sit there and, try to go 4 or 5 layers deep with, change directory and CD, that's, just leaving me error. And it's like, if I do make a mistake, then I gotta go back and tab all the way back into the area that I messed up. And, that's tedious, especially considering how many times you're gonna be doing that. So it's just nice to have something that knows what you're doing. So again, this is a pretty big package. So this is doing the install and downloading at the same time. So gotta be a little patient. You guys have installed stuff before, so you know how long that it can take to install something. But I don't think it's gonna take forever, if that's even a thing. So what I was looking at for today, I can just start getting into that though. What I was looking at for today, so I guess I gotta catch you guys up. So in our app.js, I had created a new router for our uploads. So if you guys remember, and I think I still have the app open over here. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, guys. So yeah, over here we got our title, we got our category, right? Down in here, you got your, this is where that editor thing is, and all of these are the comments. So I figured out, I can't remember if I put that in yesterday's video, but I believe I did, but I'll go over it anyway. Um, Down here in editor, we were able to figure out which stuff we wanted to add in the toolbar, since the stuff already existed up here anyway. So we just had to, you know, it was no extra work to get that fully fleshed out. So this gives us more control over what goes into, you know, what's going in here, more control over the text, how it looks, all that kind of stuff. And then let's say we're talking about code one day, we might want to use source code. So that's nice. And then what I had, one of the issues that I had was this one right here, right? So so if you guys remember back over in our login screen when we created the HTML for this, for the logo, we used an image tag. So what happens is TinyMCE is literally just creating, it's just a bunch of HTML, and when you type, it's somehow able to dynamically apply CSS tags. I mean, CSS tags based on the these options here. So whatever portions that you select when you do this automatically get embedded into that HTML tag with whatever CSS property you had. So that's pretty powerful. And one of the, when you do your image here, this is one of the many things that it does. So if you do image, right, and well, you have one option that we saw before. You can go into the internet, you can get a URL for, I was gonna go look for something, but I changed my mind. You can go and look up something, put the URL in here, and then it'll load that image. And we can do the same thing, right? So instead of us going to the internet, we want to use our file system. So luckily, what this is just literally, think of it as a, all of this space here is just an input field, like how you see here, except, and what, not a material input, just a regular input field like HTML, and it has that file type file on it, and you'll see how that looks in a raw field in a second. But that's what this is. They just designed it so that way this button is actually is set up in the center, and it triggers whatever it's gonna do. So this doesn't really require any extra code. You just have to put the input tag, and you have to do the type equals file. So then once you do this, you can click on it, and it automatically pulls up all of your files. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and pick a file. So one of the issues that we had, that I had, was that what happens when you do this? Once you hit open, this we had to the reason why we needed to add on a, where is it? This images upload URL is because this is going to say, hey, when you want to upload something, you got to go to this specific location. In this particular case, it's our back end. So we're saying on the back end, you got to handle this. So on the back end, we're saying on the back end, we created this media.js schema model, and then and this is literally just to hold images. So then once we go over here to our router, we say, okay, we can add an image, you can get an image. That's it, right? I probably should have put something on there for deleting it from the database, but you know, that's another problem for to worry about. But that's what we have so far. So if I wanted to use this image, I would just hit open, right? And now you see it's loading. And I think we had an error because my backend isn't running right now. So with that being said, okay, this is probably gonna take a second. Well, actually, let me see what's going on there, because sometimes hitting Control C just makes it move a little bit faster. I think it may be like stalled out or something. So if I hit it again, yeah, okay, it didn't. I had planned for it to begin to do more than it reported back. So I'm just gonna do this again, and there we go. So I think it just got hung up on something, and we're actually not done here. So now we're going to change our directory, and now you guys will get to see that tab completion I was talking about. So we can go, we're still not where we need to be, so we're going to go up another level, and now we want to go into mount, and now we're going to see, and you see how I can just type one letter, and oh, users with an S, and it's automatically completing what I had. And the only time you really have to type more than a few letters is if if it's only one thing in there, you can just hit tab and it'll just keep going. But if you have two folders that may have like the first few characters that's the same, then you got to keep typing until you get to that one character that's distinct. So that way it knows which file or which folder to pick. So now I'm going to try to do npm run dev, and there we go. So we got this thing working. I'm happy. Whew. Okay, cool. So and another thing that I like to do with my terminals is I like the matrix. So what we're about to do is we're about to allow Node to do what it needs to do, and oh, come on. So you can change the font type. I wanted to change the color. Oh, here we go. So screen background will leave it the way it is. I want to change the text. Ooh, not that. Ooh. I want to change screen text, and screen text needs to be matrix green. That's a little darker. That might be a little harder on the eyes, so I'm gonna go for the softer green. And look at that. We got green. I just think it's easier on the eyes sometimes because when you stare at the screen for as long as I do, you gotta start being a little bit more mindful of your eyes. So let's try that. It's a brighter color, but it's a lot more distinction between the two, and it pops a little bit more. So it's not like you strain your eyes to kind of find that contrast around the side of the letters. It's loud enough so that way your eyes pick it up and just kind of stick to it without having to do a lot of work. And that's what I like. The white is kind of too white. I can't really explain it. It's just it doesn't sit well in my eyes when I do it for a long period of time. So now that I got that going, I really just wanted to create another one. Usually, if I was in like Linux by itself, I can take Control T and have another one of these pop up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open another one. You should be able to have two of these going. There we go. And then in order to get here, we just gotta go do the same thing that we did before. I could have this automatically open and go to the destination that I want with some kind of script, and I probably do want to do that. So I'm going to show you guys something called bash script, and I hope I have a GEdit editor in here because it is easier. If not, they'll tell me to install it, so don't worry about that. And I'm just going to do tilde. That just means we're going from the root home directory, and we're going to do /.bashrc. Okay, so sudo apt install gedit, and the password. Cool. So yeah, we can use. So let that install, and the reason why I'm doing this is because they have a default editor, but I don't like it. The default editor is something I think it's called like Vim or something like that, and you got to be very careful because you can hit buttons in there, and it's like it does things behind. They have like shortcuts and like stuff like that does stuff behind the scenes. I remember one time I made some changes to a file, and I must have hit like in the times button or something, and then another number, and before I knew it, I had like 500 lines of additional text that I wrote, and I was like, how, right? So I do not like to work in that Vim editor at all. So I'm just gonna get GEdit. It looks just like Notepad. It's simple, it's convenient. I will show you guys the difference. I will show you both, but this is my preference. Hey, welcome to the stream. I got a visitor, and can't really see who it was. I don't see anything on the chat, so I don't really have any way to communicate with them. But thanks for coming. Right now I'm installing the GEdit. Pretty much I'm installing a text editor that I can use in my terminal, so that way I can continue setting this stuff up to pretty much right now when I open up this Ubuntu Linux subsystem terminal, I need to have it come back to my Windows terminal. So that way I'm in my Windows system, my regular system that I do all my work and save all my stuff in. I need to get back there. In order to do that, I want to create this script to do that automatically, so that way I can just type, you know, a few letters and then it automatically just runs the script. So I'm going to let that continue to do what it's doing. I did need to run the back end, but I'll just run it down here in the terminal. Excuse me. Actually, no, I think I need to run the front end. No, I forgot what I was. Yeah. One thing I didn't show you guys was how we set these backends up to work with this. Oh, wait, no. I do have the backend running. Yeah, this is the, oh, the front end isn't running. Okay, I knew something wasn't running. Alright, so let's go to another level. I'm gonna get at, oh, okay, that worked somehow. And then we're just gonna do npm start. And that'll handle all the stuff we got going on here. Whew. And once this starts to run, we'll be able to go ahead and test out what I have, so you can see what I was talking about with that uploader. And I'm gonna keep my eye on this. So, try it. Alright, I'm only gonna do it once, because if you do it twice, it'll probably actually stop it. I'll let it take its time. I'll run through what we're doing and then come back to it. If it's still stuck, then we'll fix it. So let's go. Oop. I don't think I need this anymore, so we can close that one out. And oh, I was watching Hunter x Hunter for this. So here we go. So this is where we are. And I don't think I have to do anything here because they know my state in terms of the state is preserved right now. Well, maybe not. So let's go ahead and refresh. Cool. Now we're going to upload an image. And this is kind of cool too, because now you have the option to go and get something off the web that, you know, of course you have permission to share, I hope. And then you have the option of passing stuff from your terminal. So now you have a few ways that you can run things. And seems like here that my upload worked. Actually, what's the response here? So something's a little funky. Oh, there we go. So we got it. It worked. So what happened is we got down into our upload, we got down to media, and we're getting the ID. So now we're all good, right? So now if I hit save, right? So let me run through this. So what this is actually doing, and I don't have any control on how MCE is controlling it, but what it did was it ran the post to post the image, and when we did that, we said, okay, we're sending it to our server. So we sent it to the server here. But then once we sent it to the server, we had to have another way for the, so what we did here was, there we go, that's what I had to do. When we sent out our response, we had to send out a JSON object. We just had to, well, JSON is an object, so we just had to send out some JSON that had the location of where to find that image. So behind the scenes, it's calling it's putting a get on this endpoint here, and that's, you know, like I said, that's the tiny MCE doing that in itself. And it makes sense when you think about it, because if you want to host the image in plain text, right, you got to have that src or the source. What's the source, right? So saying, hey, we have access to this URL, because you can use a URL as your source. So that's what we had to do. So now we have the image in there. So if we hit save, we can actually see our image right here in raw text, which is perfect, right? And then if we change this and we put this on it, it's now putting our image in the source code thing. So that's cool. You know, depending on if you think that's cool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that. But that is what, like I said, what's happening. I just thought about it. So what I would have to do was, if we delete an image, we should probably delete it from the database. Reason being is because it's still there. Once we delete it, it's still there, and we actually don't have a reference to it anywhere else. So there's no way we can access it again. So we want to make sure we're preserving our database. But for the time being, I don't have a way to do that. I know I have to do some digging on it, so I'm not going to do that yet. But that's what took me actually quite some time, and part of the reason is because I screwed something up. So yeah, the part that I screwed up was that I didn't know I had to send out this JSON object. The documentation didn't specify. It was actually just doing, once I had the endpoint set up, I started just troubleshooting the new errors I was getting, and that's how I was able to come across this. But I don't see it anywhere in their documentation. So that's that. Another thing is we have to, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so the next thing we're gonna have to do is figure out how to delete it, and you know that's another task for another time. But as of right now, what I wanted to do was, it came back to me, this slash API. It was bothering me that I had to put this slash API in everything. Um, there is a way that you can pull that out and just remove the slash API from the endpoint completely. However, I really don't know how once you get into production, right, how you have to work around this. So what I was thinking was to just go in here and go back to my package.json or my config file, and there's a way that you can still use that slash API in your front end, but you don't have to have your back end use that. So for instance, if I can find it, I think I was too low. So not here, but here, right? No, where did I put that proxy? Oh, here it is. So in here, there's another property that we can put on there, and I think it's actually I'm just gonna look it up, and let me see if I go proxy, and this way I don't have to change my unit test as much. Oh, here we go. Proxy slash API remove. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to say remove slash API. There is a way to do it. I forget. Okay, so let's say proxy config. We'll say Angular proxy modify. I want documentation on it. Let's see what else we can put in there, because there are some other properties we can put in there. Let's look at this CLI proxy and see what other things we can do. So is it path rewrite, I believe? So let's see. Okay, rewriting the URL path, right? One option that comes up a lot is rewriting the URL path for the proxy. This is supported by the path rewrite option. Say we have a server running on localhost 3000 and we want to all calls to localhost 4200/API to go to that server. In our proxy config.js file, we add the following content. So we need to add this right here to get that API. If you need to access a backend that is not on localhost, you will need to add the change origin option as follows. That's cool. To help debug whether or not your proxy is working properly, you can also add the log level as follows. So I'm actually going to do that as well, because oh, I already have it there. So we're just going to go here, path rewrite, and a comma, and that's all we got to do. So now if I do this, you'll see in a second, Actually, I have to stop the server and rerun it. Well, not this. Oh, this thing still didn't start. Oh, okay. Look at that. Control C is like my thing. I guess it grabs things that are hung up, and it's like, oh, there you go. So I hit Control C and then I hit Enter. So I guess it got stuck, and then when I hit Enter, when I did Control C, it just stopped whatever process it was stuck at, and then I hit Enter and it jumped right back into it. So I just learned something. So what I'm gonna do is I need to try to figure out what to stop. Oh, I need to stop the front end and let our ngserve command run again. So you're gonna see in a second that everything's gonna fail because endpoints ain't working like they're supposed to. So let's give it a second. And I'm not sure how it's gonna fail in terms of, I don't know if it's gonna fail when we refresh. I doubt it because we're not making any calls. But yeah, it should. Excuse me. It should and essentially it should, fail whenever it tries to hit an endpoint because that slash API stuff is gonna be gone. So oh, look at that, cool. Alright, so, and the easiest way to do that is for me to just do the image stuff because I know that we just tested it, so it's easier to test something that already worked. And then we go to network and we look all the way at the bottom. Look at that, it's red, it got a 404, it's no idea what we're talking about. So now we're back to where we started. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because I just didn't like the way my backend was set up, having to put that slash API in there. It just seemed a little weird. So what I'm gonna do is, how can I do this? I'm actually gonna cheat a bit. I'm gonna do a new window, and the reason why I'm doing a new window is because I want to have a different kind of scoping. Oh, that's interesting. Alright, that was my air conditioner doing a little putt-putt. And the only thing I want to do is I want to just narrow my scope down to just these, and actually it might just be the routers. So let me go down to the routers directory, and now it's like when I open up this thing, I only have knowledge of what's going on here. And the reason why I did that is because I want to go up here and use the slash API and just replace that with nothing. And you see how many places we use that. That's why I wanted to do it this way. And now I can just replace all. Just replacing that with nothing. Yep. So now that was easy, right? Let's see. I want to open another folder because I think I have that over in the. Actually, I'll just go here. Actually, no, I don't think I have that anywhere else. So, close this. And then now, if I look at over here slash API, it should only be our front end stuff that has it, as you see here. So we're all good now. So yep, everything that we're looking at. Oh geez, I don't know why my node module stays open. That needs to be closed. So now we're good. We got the everything set up, good to go. We gotta stop the server again. Actually, no, we don't, because this doesn't use that. So if I go here, and I should have cleared out the terminal and the console in the browser. But let's go clear all this up. Do this again. We didn't get the 404, so I didn't, at least for now what I saw. So I will go ahead and stop it and run it. So you see that it's automatically getting it. Ooh, I see what happened. It pulled everything out. Oh, yeah, rewriting path from slash API slash upload to slash upload. Post slash API slash API. So that's just breaking down how it's redirecting the terminal. So let's go ahead and rerun that. And then I'll leave the server be. let's go ahead and check our terminal up here. Okay, cool, everything installed, and I'm just gonna do clear. So again, we're in a different file system, so we gotta follow that. And then now I want to do gedit tilde slash dot bash rc. So this bash rc is where you write your bash stuff. Unable to init server, huh? So I'm just gonna do sudo because we are making a this is a administrative operation. So I guess I do have no choice but to use vi. I should have grabbed the remote to this thing. Okay, so this is what the bash rc looks like. I mean, so this is the file that I wanted to manipulate. But again, you see I can't just go in here and start. Oh, yes I could. Yeah, this is why I didn't want to use this. But this is what you got, and as you can see, this thing is pretty irritating. Pretty much the way I get out of this is to just keep doing stuff. Oh shit. There's explanation. Quit. There we go. Cool. Ooh, shit. Still here. Explanation. Q. Quit. Okay, so I need to get up out of here, and I don't know how. So I'm gonna put the explanation behind it. There we go. Jeez. Alright, so that's why I want to use GEdit. So, I think what's happening is GEdit needs to use a front. It needs to use something. So I do have to look this up. Control Shift C. But you guys saw what I didn't like, right? So when we go over and start to look at when you see the GEdit, you're gonna be so much happier. And I think this is something to do with the sub-edit stuff. I'm trying to use GEdit pseudo nano. GEdit is the official text editor of the GNOME desktop environment. Generally in a server there is no desktop environment install needed, therefore GEdit can install. I suggest that you instead use nano. I'm just gonna do that, and I'm just gonna say Linux subsystem. There we go. And How to Geek, one of my favorite forums. So how this works, first let's run. Well, I really kind of don't care. Oh, I see, because the GEdit is like graphical edit. Step 1, install an X server. Okay. Let's run down exactly how this works so you can understand what we're doing here. Windows 10 includes an underline, blah 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 blah. This is all the stuff we already know about. To run, you got a subsystem to use all the Linux stuff. When you run a Linux distribution like Ubuntu, it downloads and installs a complete Ubuntu user space image on your computer. This includes the exact same binaries or applications that will run on Ubuntu. That bash on Ubuntu on Windows environment works thanks to underlining Windows subsystem for Linux. Microsoft doesn't want to spend any time working on graphical software, as this feature is intended for command line developer tools. But the main technical reason that graphical applications aren't supported is that they require an X server to provide that graphical interface. On a typical Linux desktop, that X server automatically appears when you boot the computer, and it renders the entire desktop and the applications you use. But try opening a graphical application from Bash on Windows though, and it will complain that it cannot open the display. There are X server applications you can install on Windows desktop. However, typically these are used to render Linux applications running on the other computers. Running on other computers, the X11 protocol is rather old and was designed with the ability to run over a network connection. If you install an X server application on your Windows desktop and change the setting in the bash shell, applications will send their graphical output to the X server application, and they'll appear on your Windows desktop. Everything should work fine, assuming those applications don't depend on Linux system calls that the Windows subsystem for Linux doesn't yet support. So this is what we gotta do. I don't really see a workaround for it, so we're just gonna go ahead and do this. And How To Geek is, I trust them. I've pretty much learned a lot of a lot of things from them. There are several different X servers you can use, but we recommend Xming. Download and install it on your Windows 10 PC, and we're just gonna go ahead and do that. I don't see the download happening now. Okay, so there we go. So we're downloading, downloads, and cool. So yeah, as a developer, the worst thing you could probably have is a virus. But we just download so much stuff, like we don't even think about it. You can install the program. You can install graphical Linux desktop programs like you can any other program. We already did that, and I think this is the one we use for. Nope, never mind. Yeah, it will go through the installation process. 3, set your display environment variable. So this is the one we didn't set up yet. So first thing, let's go ahead and get this set up. Boom. Normal party, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we don't need a start menu folder for this. And I don't think we need any of that because it's going to be called behind the scenes. We're not using this directly for us. I guess, do I have to launch this thing? Alright, so then let's go ahead and set this environment variable. So let's go and say export display. Thought you had to use a $sign, but okay. Equals 0. Cool. Now you'll need to set the display environment variable to point at the X server running on your Windows 10 PC. If you don't do this, graphical applications will simply fail to launch. Step 4. This setting only applies to your current bash session. If you close the window, bash will forget it. You have to run this command each time you reopen your bash and want to run a graphical application. That sucks. Oh well. And then let's just go ahead and try GEdit again. Yeah, it's probably because it's not running. So let's just go to Xming and open that. So this is why you wait. I didn't want to do that. So we should already have it installed. Xming. Oh, I see. So I think what I have to do is go into my file system because I said I don't want to add it to the start menu. How wrong was I? And actually, I'm going to try to reinstall it. Reason being is when I reinstall it, it might uninstall the version that's already there. And let me undo that. Create a desktop icon. Install. Oh, never mind. I guess we gotta install it twice. I can probably check the dates on the installations to see which one I installed first and uninstall it. Oh, but problem for another session, I guess. But I'm not seeing the errors, so that's good. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, look at that. So this is GEdit. So this, I like this because we can type right in here. And I just need to find a way. Okay, so this is what I need here. So I need to say I believe it's an alias, and we're going to say there's a few things we're going to do now. We're going to say I'm just going to say start. I'm trying to find something that doesn't really exist. Yeah, I'll call it start. I'll call it setup just to be safe, and then I'll do equals, and then I gotta do this string thing, the single quotes, and then we're gonna do to get back into Windows. Actually, we'll set the export first. So we'll say export display, and then we'll say equals 0, and then we can add a semicolon, and then we can run the next command that we want to do, which is to get into our Windows location, and then you want to get here, and we'll stop there. And that should be all we need. And for some reason, oh, I spelled alias wrong. So you see how much easier this is. We can just click in here like it's a normal editor. And then I'm just going to save this, and then I'll close it. And then what I need to do is I need to say source, and then tilde slash dot bash rc. So when I save that, we got it. So now if I say, what do I call it? Setup. Yeah. Oh, I never hit CD. I just typed it in. So it did recognize it, so that's good. So go back over here and just say change directory. And that's all we have to do. So we'll just go source. Okay. Source bash rc, and then do it. And look at that. Now we're where we need to be. See? Let's say ls. Ooh, too far. Permission denied. So just clear that. I don't know what that was. Oh, I think this is a symbolic link. Okay, so I have to type dir in here. That's weird. I think something didn't work right. I'm just gonna exit that. Something did not go right there. So let me just double check. Dot slash mount c users slash. Oh, that is how it looked. So I don't know why it looks like this though. But if you type dir, you get exactly what's in here. Oh, I guess it's because it's a subcells. You still get both. So let's see. Okay, so just something probably with the Windows system there. But yeah, you can just ls and you got it. So if I do cd dot dot and then I do ls and I'll just do we're getting a lot more than we want, and I think this is probably some stuff that Linux has, because we can see some of the same things that were there, just in a different way. So that's good, and this kind of just shows you that this is like a pseudo kind of connection to the terminal, to the server. And if we did sudo, I just want to do sudo ls to see what happens. Probably still won't let you do it. I just saw permission denied on some stuff, and I just wanted to see. Oh yes, it's still permission denied. That's probably all this is. Can't get the symbolic link for this stuff, and this is probably more Windows unique stuff, so Linux wouldn't know anything about that. Oh, sorry. So now the only thing we want to do now is get into our project directory. So now we're going to programming slash, and we need to go slash app, and we're going to do npm start, and this is where it's going to stay. So took a long way to get there, but we're here. But another reason why I did that was because now we have a script. So now every time I go into my Ubuntu shell, I can literally just type in setup, and I'm right into my Windows system. So you know, it's still a little dynamic process, but it's not as tedious as it would have been if we didn't have that. So that's Bash, a short intro to Bash scripting, I guess. Just makes the development process a little easier. So we're still getting a 404. Now I don't know why. So did break some things. So here it's rewriting this path to this path, but when we do our post here to go into localhost 3000, something ain't right. So what I'm going to do is since we did change the server, oh, see, seems like it didn't even catch the changes. Did I do npm run dev? I sure did. So let's see if it picks up the changes now. Refresh. So the thing about no, again, once you hit an error, you pretty much gotta refresh everything. Let's clear that and test this. Not seeing a 400. Alright, that's good. And we got the text that we're looking for. Oh wait, cannot get. Did I not modify the media router? And let's see. Cannot get slash media slash ID. Why can't you? So let's go here and check this out. Console.log, and I'm just gonna do request.body. In the beginning, check to see if this thing is picking up changes. So alright, so that is up. So cancel that, because you see it didn't populate the numbers. That's how I knew. Well, that's how you can know that the get failed, because the link came back, but the dimensions for the image didn't. And the only thing I'm doing in the terminal is just trying to print something out to see what we're in the console, to see when we're wrong. So now it's just the getter that's having a problem, and we can probably get a little bit more information about it here. Oh, I know why we didn't change. Where is it? We sent this back out. I want to say this should be fine though. Can't think of what it was like beforehand, but it seems like this is the issue. Cannot get. Let's see if it tells us anything about it. It might be the fact. Okay, I see. So what happened was, when we did this, we never set how can I say this? We didn't tell this editor thing about the routing, and that's why not the routing, but the proxy configuration stuff. Let's see if it has a printout before it failed. So long story short, it didn't use that slash, it didn't use our API, that slash API. So what that meant was it was trying to do it somewhere in Angular to handle that, and Angular isn't handling that. So that's why you see it here, right? It's 4200 slash. It's supposed to be 4200 slash API slash whatever. So we go over to network, look there, right? You need to see the headers. So you see here, that's how that looks. But when you look here, it's just slash media. So that is the problem. And we can actually fix this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this as a slash API. And what that'll do is that'll let the front end, that'll force it to say to use the API on the front end, and we can leave our back end the way that it is. And then the only thing I'm going to do is make sure that NodeMon actually picked up. Okay, it seems like it picked up the changes in this case. And I just got a bunch of alerts to my email, so I just wanted to check that out while I'm waiting. Cool. Let's see. Image, and you see like, this one little thing can take a lot of time. So got to be very careful. And there's also some other things that I have to add in here. Otherwise, we're gonna have some problems. So now, if I save this, again, we're good to go. But one quick thing, if I'm still printing out to the terminal on the front end. Okay, I don't know how this thing, oh, it's already in use. So that must be here. Okay, cool. So you guys see that, never mind. I guess I took that off. But there's another request coming in here. Can't see it, but it's there somehow, somewhere, making a call and doing some stuff. So it's probably just not request.body, it's probably request.file, because it's actually sending the file. But I digress. And it did catch the changes. So I guess before it probably was just everything was disconnected. So when we made the change, it didn't recognize it. So we can just go ahead and remove that, and that's all we have to do for here. There is some stuff like, for instance, if you when you save your file, they all have the same name. So for instance, let's say when you're downloading files, you might give them the same names locally. For instance, like something like this, right? They're all very not unique. What you have to do is to make sure that whenever your server is creating these files, um, well, when you can use your editor. So this editor here can put a name on the file, and you can force it to create unique names. Otherwise, you're going to keep overriding your your file. Granted, this would only, I believe this will only happen if it was a local, if we were saving this locally somewhere. But since we're saving this on a database, we just have multiple entries with the same name. And I'll spare you guys from. Okay, we'll do some other stuff, and then we'll come back to this, because we do have another thing that we want to do. So this is all blog content, right? And okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and connect to the local server, just so you guys can see that new database that we have for I think it's this one and media. So look at that, we got 9 documents in there, and they all have the same setup, and that's it really. So this is pretty simple stuff, right? We gotta figure out a way to delete it when we remove it. Again, I gotta figure it out. We can Google it, see if it's simple. Tiny MCE delete images, and I'm assuming that there's a way that Tiny MCE is aware when it deletes certain content. I've created a plugin to handle image uploads to Tiny MCE. This is all working fine. What I want to be able to do is remove the image from my server if it's deleted by the user. So yep, there we go. I was trying to do the same thing, but after much internet trawling and debugging, the only way I could see to achieve this was to watch the editor for the delete or backspace keys being pushed while an image was selected in the editor. So within your MCE's init setup function, okay, so we probably have to throw in a watcher. Interesting, how does this work when you control A with its multiple elements? And delete, good point. Did not add the code as a plugin because currently TinyMCE does not. Okay. That's more information from other users. So yeah, so what I wanted to do was see if we can delete this thing and remove script host, convert URLs, several configurations that allow you to adjust how. So I don't see it here. I was hoping that there would be a way that we can link to it and remove it, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna be a pretty straightforward thing. I'll look at one more tab, and if we don't see anything there, then we'll just keep moving, and I'll look into that when I'm offline. So they have a delete thing here. Tiny MC, how to detect. Oh, there we go. This is from 2015. So many things could have changed since then. So the only thing I would do is, I mean, there's a lot of things we can do. We can listen for it, right? I'm gonna look at this PHP one because I think this is probably the only one that's good. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna look at this. Um, we can do it the custom way, right? But we know this thing works. That's all that matters for right now. Again, development is kind of a dynamic process. You're doing a lot of different things at one time. So let's go back to what we were trying to do. Well, what I was trying to do the other. So last night, I think I went through all the changes I made so far. Um, oh, I did figure out how to get rid of those problems we were seeing. I don't know if you guys remember the other day when we were looking in here when we used this ng4, and I don't need this one. I need the real one. Let me get the real one. So when we had that post element HTML, when we were using the Angular directives, so like the ng4 and that ng if in here, we had all that red lining that was just like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about, right? We got rid of all of that, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I saw any red in this one either. Yeah, so once we got that common module in place, it cleared up all of that stuff. So I'm happy we got that going. And I think somehow that this was tied into that when they had that tiny MC Angular setup. So they were able to register that probably in the common module. So now the next piece I need to do is work on the background, the cover image, right? So with the blog, we said that we were going to have a cover image. So there's probably going to be, this is probably going to be some trial and error stuff because I got to figure out what configurations we need to have for the image to make sure that it fits the background. And we're gonna have a multitude of different layouts. And sorry, my pops is calling me, so I gotta answer this. So, yeah. Sorry about that. Pops calling, gotta answer. So here we go. Right here, we need to. I'm sorry. Right here, we are adding our input, right? And the reason why we're adding an input is so that right in here we can upload an image. So one thing that I was working with was that I had a problem, and the problem was that on this form, right? If you guys remember the backend code, um, we have all of these fields for the post object, well, the model, right? Whatever you want to call it. In this case, is like a group. All the fields that are going to be populated are right here, and then the image had to be added slightly different. It had to be that dot file, if you remember. So one was like request.body, and this is what this stuff goes. This stuff goes in the body, or technically the fields, because we're using a was it multi-type, multi-form kind of setup when we do our HTTP requests. So we got to keep that in mind, and that's why I have a form control here. But now when I have this form control, I got to be careful because I created a new directive to pick up on the input for the file input because initially, well, technically don't have to have a form control on it. I just wanted to have something that was a little bit more dynamic, so that way I don't have to try to register events every time that I change the value. So let's say I pick one file and then I say, oh, not this file, it's another file. I'll have to register it and keep doing event emissions for that. So I found some code online that pretty much just extends the control value accessor to handle files as well. And this is pretty much what we got here. And yeah, I mean, you can pretty much call this stuff whatever you want. And only thing it's saying is, hey, take the Angular value accessor, and instead of using that, use this. And I guess this is I don't know what the multi is, so um, don't like I said, I don't get that part because I don't have any documentation to read up on that. But yeah, so that's what that is. And then here is literally just doing the same thing. Hey, when you change, you're gonna update and just run this dot on change. And this is just probably, and I think when it say this dot on change, it uses the same on change that comes out of this control value accessor. If you hover over it, well, I don't know, because they're supposed to, I don't see anywhere that it's defined. Is what that's what I mean. I don't see like the definition of what that on change really does. But from in a nutshell, it adds the new value to be that, right? So that's what's happening. Um, and then here you got a write value. So I guess if you, what happens is you might have a file value that, let's say you load a page, like if you have it so that way your forms can remember what happens if your user changes pages, then this is the right value is what's going to be getting used. It's going to take data in and send it down to the form so that the form is populated when it loads. So I think I had an issue with this yesterday, which is why I commented it out. But now that my templating area is a lot cleaner, I can catch it. I can see it coming. Okay, so I'm not having an issue, and I'm just gonna do F12 over here, so that way, just in case anything does happen, we can see it. And it doesn't appear to be anything wrong here. We can upload. Let's grab our favorite image. We're gonna do that, and boom, no problem there. And to be honest, we can use that same server. We can use that same upload to send this one in. However, I'm thinking, how are we gonna get back to this, right? Because, well, oh no, I'm sorry. This is gonna be saved along with everything else, and it's already taken care of. So sorry about that. And you saw there, right? We can modify this, right? So let's edit this up in here. Um, this is going to be new to me because I've never done this, right? So what I wanted to do was make it look pretty like some of the other stuff. Like when you go here, you see how nice this looks when you go to upload, right? You got all this stuff that makes it look nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal it. And I'm not going to get everything, but I'm going to get some stuff, right? So what they did here is they had a button exist separately from the input, and I'm going to bet, good thing I didn't bet. So what they did was they did display none. I'm going to take that off, and once I take that off, I can see where the real input is. And I think I need to take all that out. So now when I hover over this thing, this is the real input, and it's actually off the page, right? So and I didn't change this because we might have a video, right? We might want other stuff in the background for the file, so that's why I left it alone. And then this also gives me an idea for like if I want to have like a PDF or something showing, but I digress. So now we got our input, right? And the input is off to the side and out of the way, and the choose file is popping up right there. So that's what they didn't want to show up. So now if I go back and put this back in there, and that's why I like using Google. Uh, Google, when you use Chrome, you just get a lot more use out of this. And I think it was style. I think style here, and then equals the display none. I think that's what it was. Oh well, it'll fix when we refresh. So this is what we want to do, and in order to do this, you create a button just outside of this, and that button has to be bound to this. And yeah, so and then outside of this, they just created all of the div that's going to hold this whole thing. So let's go ahead and play around with this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create the div outside of this that's going to host this thing. So now we've got the div on here, And if we refresh, we shouldn't really see any change on this. So nothing's changed, right? Everything's still set up. So now what we want to do is we're going to do display. Actually, I'm sorry. And what I'm going to do is I guess we can do an inline style in here just because we're doing one thing. But I don't like to do that. I want to make it a global class just so in case I want to hide stuff anywhere else, I can use it. And I forgot there's something I need to do in here too, because I want this Source Serif Pro to be my default font for a lot of different things. So it needs to follow the same pattern. And but that's something for later. But so I'm just gonna go dot hidden, right? And the only thing we need to do is just say display none, and that just says, hey, don't display this thing. There's another way for hiding stuff, and it practically completely erases it from the being in the browser at all. I didn't mean to do that. But so now if I go here and I say class equals hidden, 2Ds 1E. I didn't jump. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Equals hidden, and we screwed this up. That's what I think. There we go. So let's just see. Oh, I forgot to save the other file. If this thing picks up as well. And the only thing I'm going to take a second to do, guys, is I'm going to share my post. I forgot that when I do these things, I don't share directly to my YouTube, my Facebook account. It shares to my Facebook page, like the business page. So it doesn't really come all the way through. So I'm just going to share that. And leave it there, and hopefully I'll get some scary alerts when people come. So that's one. Okay, that's cool. I know these. At least I know these animations still work. So where were we? So hidden, right? Let's see if this thing is hidden. So we can go up in the browser, and we literally do not see it, right? So perfect. So now what we have to do is create the stuff that we do want to see. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it was hideous, you want to make something that looks a lot more interesting. So we can go here and we can create our button, and we're going to do a matte button. And I mean, we can do a matte raise button. There are a lot of different options, and all of the options are right in here. So I'm going to do, there we go. And I believe I showed you guys already with the buttons, and we can actually do a few things. And one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the icons. We imported some material stuff before, and I forget, when you want to go icons, you got to do this, material icons, to get all of the icons. And these are like preset icons created by Google. There we go. So what I want to do is go Control F, and I want to see if they have one for image, and we do, right? So this looks like a good one. I wonder if they have one for media. Mediation, perm, media. So look at that. So this one looks like something. I wonder if they have one for files. So I'm actually just playing around in here to just see what my options are. Oh, I like this one. This is the default one, right? So we can do a button, or we can do a file. Let's just look at some places where you can upload stuff. What I'm gonna do is I'm just say upload, and the reason why I just typed in upload, I'm trying to use as little words as possible. So you got a lot of different places that show you, and just type field. So a lot of different places have a lot of different ways of showcasing this, and we can take advantage of as many as we want. Reason being because we can do things like this. Um, the reason why I like this is because you'll see in a second. So we can use button, right? And we can have icon, but oh, there we go. I think I skipped it. Maybe just yeah, here we go. So here we can have icon buttons, which is what you see here. But I like the way these look. These look a lot more interesting. So what's fab anyway? Control F, fab, mini fab, circular button with elevation default to the theme's accent color. So cool. Let's go and try that, right? So what we'll do is we'll go and I think this is a matte fab. You just do button and you matte fab button. Let's see. Yep, matte fab color. Alright, so let's try that. So we're gonna go right in here and we're gonna say matte fab, and then color is going to be, we can make it a primary color. Give it some style up in there. We'll say primary. So we're gonna have the primary color showing, and then we're gonna say upload a. I'm gonna say upload cover. What's this say? Upload cover image, right? That's really what's happening here. And actually, I thought about something I wanted to do, but we don't have to do it here. I was thinking if we did want to edit this, we had to find a way to pass all this information. Oh, I know. I just thought about it. Sorry about that. I get sidetracked at times, so please forgive me. One thing I didn't think about. Oh no, we don't have to worry about it because all the files that we set in the text are gonna get set in the text, and they'll pull in from the source. Cool. So we got this button here, right? And we can actually go look at this in the browser. So our button is now, we now have a different button to show up instead of what we had before. So this is what that looks like, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna go back to something else. I thought that would be cool, but no, I don't like that. I probably should have paid attention when I was looking at the code here. It's just like a trash can or something. So what I mean, there's ways we can fix it, but you know, I'm not hooked on this because it's pretty big too. The one thing I forgot to look at in here was how they had this stuff. So I'll leave it for now. Just I wanna see what happens. And okay, so that's what we gotta do. We gotta get the matte icon in there and not the text. So instead of this, we're gonna do and this is again, this is all stuff that's already available for you. I will take a second to say that this isn't the only way you can do things. So we can go over here, and there's something called Bootstrap, which gives you a bunch of pre-built CSS styling. But I just had this thing. Everything had to be custom for me for the most part. So and it's really easy to use actually. So what you have, the only thing you have to do is you can do npm install, or you can download it and use it wherever else, right? So this is all you would have to do in npm. Just install it, and then you're gonna get a really big CSS file that you're not even gonna be able to read. And what happens is you have access to you'll have access to all of these icons. And I mean, if you like these icons and you don't want to use the but you don't want to use bootstrapping, you can always download all of these icons. They probably have a way for you to download it. Oh yeah, so you can just download the icons here, and then you can use them somewhere else. Then you can use them in place of the material icons. You would just have to register them. I'm not gonna go through that because that's a little bit more tedious, and I've already kind of went through a lot of stuff today. But the only and then from here, the only thing you got to do is figure out which ones you want. And like I said, it's been a while since I've used this thing, so bear with me. I think it's the docs, is it? Nope. This is what I'm looking for here. Layout. So you get a lot of stuff for layouts. You get you get media queries automatically created for you, so you can, it's a little easier. You get a lot of, like I said, you get a lot of stuff given to you. You get grids. You get all of this stuff, and the only thing you have to do is literally just do class equal whatever class name is in there, and you're done. Here, these are components, just similar to Angular. They have a lot more components, I would say. And these are the way this is how they look. So this is like badges. They got breadcrumbs, whatever that means. Oh, so these are like the breadcrumbs when you have like your file directories, right? They got drop downs. This is similar to the mat select that we use. And this is an example of how you use it. You see, you just put this class on here, and you put another class in here, and you have your stuff. So a lot of different ways you can do things. They even have forms in here, and you see here, they still use form controls just as before, except they're wired up a little differently. And you have a whole lot more that you can use. You got media object. I don't even know what that was a thing, but you got stuff like this, right? The media is right here, and you've got ways to set it up. So if you have sliders, this will be the last one. You can slide through stuff and see things. If you're into this kind of stuff. So if you and then it's pretty easy to, like I said, just literally done in like 2 steps. You npm install it, and then you add the script line on your index.html file, and that's it. And then you have access to it. It's wired up into your code. But like I said, I didn't really have an interest to use it right now. Not necessarily stoked over these icons, but I'll use them for right now. And there is some things that I can do to these to manipulate them, and I'll show you some of the stuff that I do, because I believe on the mat icon, I want to say that you can change the color, but I'm not even going to commit to that because I have no idea. Yes, this SVG icon, so these are your custom ones. For example, the default color of SVG icon is the CSS current color value. This makes SVG icons by default have the same color as the surrounding text, and allows you to change the color by setting the color on there. I don't think that necessarily works with what we're doing, and I do need to get the name of the mat icon, the icon that I'm going to use. I'll just go with image. So something for image. This looks good. I'm sorry, I'm very particular about the weirdest stuff. I guess I'll go something with a little simpler. I like these pluses. Image search. This looks a little bit better. We're not necessarily searching though. So yeah, I'm one of those people. Like, I'm super particular about how stuff looks, how they gotta be set up. Kind of weird for a dude who has his hair pretty wild, but we all have our vices. Let's see. I guess this one looks okay. This one looks like we're adding an image though, so I'm gonna go with this one, and I just need to get the name of this. So I'm gonna hover. Let me see if I can. I just want to copy the text off of this thing. They're gonna make it difficult, so I'm just gonna go here, inspect it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this text right out of here. Come on. I think I got it. Yeah, I got it. So it disappeared when I took that. So now I'm just gonna paste that in here, and that's all we gotta do. Oh yeah, I didn't import mat icon, so I gotta do that into our admin. So let me go mat icon module. Is that a module? API, yeah, mat icon module, mat icon module, and then we're just going to import this. Import mat icon module from at angular slash material slash icon. There we go. And this semicolon. So we can save both of these. And you see some of that, those red lines went away. So now we go back over here. And now this is what we got. So we were still using that mat fab. And I'm not a fan of it. So I'm just going to make it a regular button. And then in order to do that, I gotta go up here, and I could probably just put it back to one of these buttons. I thought it would be cool. I might leave it on the side actually. No, I don't need too many buttons. So let's just go over here. We're just gonna say we're gonna pull that out, and we're just gonna use a regular button. If I can figure this thing out. There we go. This is what we're getting rid of. Cool. And then we're just say upload background image, or cover image should I say. And we can leave it like this. The button is already is pre-configured to automatically fit to the content within, so we don't have to worry about anything like that. We don't need the space behind it because that's not going to render anyway. And we got it set to the primary color. We can use the accent color if we wanted to. I do have to make this a matte button, I believe. We got different options here as well, as you guys already know. You know, regular flat button, raised button, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna make it just a little. I'm gonna leave it the way it is for right now, but I might make it a raised button depending on how it looks. And I believe that's all. Let's just go ahead and see how this looks, right? Whole another ball game, right? Oh, I don't like this. We forgot something. Right now, it's just a regular button. It's supposed to be a matte raised button. Yeah, that's what it needs to be. Matte raised button. So I thought I was right. So let's get that working. So now we got, hey, upload your cover image. Perfectly set up there. And then what'll happen is when we click on this, it does nothing right now. So we gotta say when we click on this thing, we gotta make it trigger this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here and we're just gonna say click, and we're just gonna say equals on upload. You can call it whatever you want, but we're just gonna say on upload. And then over here we're gonna give this thing an ID, something that we can connect to. So I'm gonna give this an ID, and it's gonna say file field, or you know, it can just be file like that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back into our TS file, and we're just gonna create something called a view child, so we have access to it at view child. And the name of it is we can use the selector that we put on it, so I'm just gonna put file, and then I'm gonna just say upload I can call it upload, and then this is just going to be a HTML element. Let me see something. I'm gonna say, what if I can say, yeah, it's just an HTML element. Actually, no, that's a input element. So input element. HTML input element. There we go. Want to be explicit about what it is because that'll help us. Cool. So now we gotta create our method for it. So we gotta go and say, all right, what do we call it? On upload. We gotta say this dot file, and the reason why I said that is because I want to do this. We gotta say dot click, I think, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. It's this dot upload dot, and now since we use the HTML input element, we now know that we can now get the methods that are for on our input element, and I think it's a change event that we are emitting here. Actually, no, I'm just gonna say it's a click dot click, right? Believe that's what we're trying to do. Don't quote me. Haven't done this before. Console, is it complaining? Oh, there we go. Is not a function. So what we want to do is, I actually saw this somewhere else. So I'm going to say click button activate. Oh, there's another button on that. I forgot. So this is what we'll do, because remember when we have that file and we do that type, so we're just gonna hover over, trying to get not directly on this so I can get outside of it, because we need to get, alright, we'll just do it this way, get right outside of this, because right up in here on this button that we created, we got an input field in here as well, if we can find it. Here we go. So what we got to do here is on that input we got to find where that let's take this class hidden off of it, right? Because there's a button on this, and once we do that and come out of here, we now can see it for what it is. I'm gonna pull this out some more. And I'm trying to figure out where what this is, right? Because if we inspect this specific thing, oh, look at that, file upload button. So it has a button on it. So let's see if we can find that. So let's see if we can say dot file. Alright, can't do that. Let's just say trigger input file button. And that should be all I need. Trigger file input. Trigger click on input file. That's what I need. Some browsers doesn't allow a manual click on the input file. You can read more about it here. Print defaults. Okay, so it's definitely a thing because you saw it's a thing. So we just got to figure out how to map that thing together. There we go. How to trigger click event on input file from button click. You can leverage the template references variables as follow. Button file dot click. Oh, okay, so we didn't have to do anything complex. Right, so instead of trying to link to the reference, we could have just did it directly on there. So we're still going to keep this here, and what we're going to do is, since we have that HTML variable, we can just do file dot click, and boom. So now let's just save the two things, and we'll see it over here. So let's go back to being hidden, drag this back over where it needs to be, F12, sheesh, that's about it there. And then if we click upload, did I forget the, yep, I forgot this. So we go here, let that load, boom, look at that. So now we've got everything going. We don't have to worry about anything really. You can click the button and it automatically opens that up for us. We can make this look a lot, you know, we can always do things to make this look better. I'm not too worried about the visuals on this because it's just for me, so I don't have to worry too much about it. But I do want to do one thing. Okay, this is what I'm looking for here. I want to see how much margin we have on these map form fields. So when you look here, this is the whole thing, but so that means I need to go deeper. Excuse me. And I want to go to compute it, and I can see so this is the actual thing, and it has 21.5, and then 4 pieces of margin here, and that separates. That's the space between these two things. And since I don't have a way to do any error logging, well, that's a space that's pretty much reserved for error logging. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use that much space. So I'm going to do 25.5 margin below this, just to give it the same space, and so that way everything is equally spaced out. Because the last thing you want to do is have, you know, your stuff's just all over the place and not properly, you know, spaced. And I'm just going to put it on the div, because the div is what's holding everything. So I'm going to go to styles, and I'm just going to say margin bottom is going to be 25.5 pixels, and there we go. So now that looks just like everything else. So I'm gonna add that to the rest of this, and I'm just gonna say I'm gonna call this a dot mat spacing. I'm gonna say mat form spacing. And the reason why I'm using mat form spacing is because I'm saying this is the same amount of space that a mat whatever a mat form field is going to use. And then it's going to say margin, and I'll call it top spacing, so it's very, well, bottom spacing, so it's very specific. Because I don't think it has that same spacing above, so I might not need to do this. Yeah, I don't need that spacing above. So I can leave it like this, and it would just be margin bottom is going to be 24.5 and 25.5 pixels, and then we can go ahead and save that and watch the magic. Boom. And what? Oh, we never set it on the actual element itself. And I think what happens is we notice that the editor takes a little bit more time to load, because it's, you know, there's a lot more moving pieces when it's versus the simple stuff that's on you know, these map form fields are fairly simple in comparison. So what I have to do is we have to do class equals mat form spacing. Is mat form spacing or mat form field spacing? Yeah, mat form spacing, and save that. And with that, we can go up here, and we got our spacing, and it works. Boom, look at that. I might want to do something a little later where, like, when you click it, there's like some kind of trigger or something to show you that it's loading. Otherwise, when you click it, you might be tempted to hit it again. So just thinking about the user experience here. So I mean, we got the content in here. So now what else do we need, right? We're getting ready to, we're just coming up to the cusp where we're going to be able to save this thing. And what we got to do is go up to, the TS file. And I'm just going to close some of the stuff we didn't need. And up here, what we have left is description and status. And what I want to do is, what I'm thinking is, okay, we have this date active. I believe if I leave it null, it should, yeah, if we leave it null, it's unpopulated. So if we leave it null, it should the default class should be applied. I have no way to confirm this, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And for the status, I'm also going to leave the status as null. Reason being is because what we can do is we can say, hey, if you meet a specific requirement, right? Meaning, well, we can set the status based on the button that we click. If we hit save, then we're going to leave it as null, because that should be saved as default. If we want to schedule this to be posted on, let's say, next week or something, then the status should be set to pending. And if we set it to publish immediately, right, then we can also have a status for that, which I think is active. So that's why I'm leaving it as null, because these things can, they'll vary. And then what we have to do now is that we just get this description tag in there, and then we can create our buttons. So that's gonna be no problem at all. And this time we're going to use a text area, and I'm actually going to leave the description up at the top here. And the reason I'm leaving it up at the top is so that way we have some room at the bottom. We can just have all the big text at the bottom. So let's go right here, and we're going to do the same thing as we did before with the rest of this stuff. So I'm just going to grab this one here, since this is all the settings that we need. And just go Control V, and the only thing we have to change here is going to be description. And technically I don't have to add this description thing. I'm almost certain that if I used if I try to render this somewhere else, just a snippet of it, it might give me what I need, but I don't want to risk it, so that's why I'm not doing that. However, one thing I didn't pay attention to is how this value is going to be stored. So that's going to be another thing that we're going to have to deal with once we get down to sending this out, unless somehow mat form control can get into this thing and pick up on the way this content is coming back. So we'll see when we make our when we send the request off. Next thing we got to do is change the form control to description. And actually, I don't want this to be an input. I want this to be a text area, so we can see what we're doing. And if we use text area, I've never used it before. I'm trying to see if we got to do a close. I want to see if it's a self-closing tag, because the input is a self-closing tag, but text area is not. Text area defines a multi-line text input control. Text area, yep. So we gotta close this thing. There we go, and it closed itself, so we're good. I think that's all we needed here. So let's save it and look over in our browser and see what we got. Oh, look at that. That's nice. I like that. And you see everything's nice and neat. We can do a lot of different things, styling, we can put stuff over here, you know, but like again, this is a very boring process. So now what we need to do is, let's start playing around with these save buttons. And actually I just realized that I'm getting irritated with this thing touching the bottom like this. I'll leave it there because we're gonna add some stuff. We're gonna add a footer in later, so we'll have that covered. Um, what else? I think if I remove this, everything should go back to normal. No. Okay, so I was thinking that maybe everything should be centered, but it seems to kind of make sense the way this is set up here. But I don't know. We'll see. So we've got everything going. Excuse me. I'll go to 10:30, guys. I'm not gonna keep you guys on long like I did last time. I honestly lost track of time, and you know we got space and to type, and we're not gonna be typing a lot in there, so it's fine. I just wanted something else, a little bit bigger than the input field. So that's cool, and we can preset the size for that if we wanted to, but we don't have to. So now we can grab our buttons, and I believe in the design I had the buttons off to the side. And we can always change the layout for that stuff later. Once it's hooked up and connected, it's just a matter of styling. So that is not a lot of work. I mean, it's work because getting the styling just right can take time. You could spend hours just trying to get a button in the right place. But it's not like a mentally that is mental. It's not like a lot of work. Like you literally have to do a lot of stuff, like typing a lot of code to get it in place. You just gotta do it, you know. So I'm gonna stick with this for right now. I'm almost certain that we'll change it, because we'll probably put it at the bottom. Yeah, let me just put it at the bottom, so that way we have it. And what I want to do is I want to make it like a menu. And when I say a menu, I don't mean like the menu you see like on your mobile phone. You have a lot of different ways that we can make the menu. We can use a button, and then when you click the button, it can be like a drop down for the menu to say, hey, we want. So look, if you click on this, we get a lot of different things, right? So we can have a save, and we can have save one. It'll be a save, right? And then one might be like publish or whatever, right? So the button we called save, and then the options is going to be um, publish. It can be a lot of different things, and this is really it. You have your buttons in here. So let's grab this, right? And I believe we're going to need the map menu module. Yep. So let's go ahead and set this up. So where is, oh, there we go. Get the mat menu. I'm trying to alphabetize this at the very end. So let's do import mat menu module from at angular material / menu. And I know it's a little bit redundant, well, not to say redundant, but to kind of have everything set off on their own to import these modules. It's the reason why you do this is so that way, because you can have everything up in here and it load in, but then now it takes more time for your app to load. So with lazy loading, you know, you want to make sure you're trying to make sure your stuff is loading as fast as possible, so that means that each individual module only loads as much as it needs. And you can see it here, like, you know, in this component where we're using a lot of different things that somewhere else we might not need. Like we might not need all of these. Granted, these are like very fundamental stuff, so other places might use them, but they might have other stuff that they also need as well. So you don't want to have to load all of that in here, because as you can see, it already takes a minute for the editor thing to come in anyway. So back to where we were. So let's go ahead and drop these buttons in here, and I'm going to do it just inside the form, just so everything stays the same. And we can leave this alone, and I'm just going to call it save menu, and we'll leave mat menu there. It's not going to hurt because we have to connect to something else. We weren't done there. So this is actually the menu here. So this is actually the button that's going to be the trigger for the menu. So you see all those options there. This is the real thing. This is the real deal here. Matte icon button. Do I want this to be a matte icon button? No, I want a. So you see this one here, above, below, whatever, right? We can have the save text go in there, and I'm just gonna save menu. It probably wants this. Oh, matte icon button. I thought I had that. I'm almost certain matte icon button comes with its own stuff. Matte menu module. Probably because we didn't save yet. Hopefully. Yeah, it seems like it's because we didn't save. And then what icon are we gonna use? I'll go back to the material stuff. Too far. There we go. So I'm gonna just Control F, save. Oh, look at that. That's a good one. Oh, yeah, save. Neither one of these are like super convincing. This one versus this one, traditional versus this, and these icons are like kind of bulky, right? As I said, you can always change these. So I'm gonna go with this one. This looks a little bit cooler. Save underscore alt, and you can also create your own. Like if you can go anywhere as long as it's an SVG file, you can create and use your own custom icons. So you're not limited in that regard. So didn't pick up this matte menu module here. Oh, I never put it in the imports. That is why. So matte menu module, comma, boom, and should be no more errors. Boom, cool. So look at that. So new post. We got an error. Export of name not matte menu not found. Save menu. Oh, wait a minute. I see. Let me look at this again. So let's see what the problem is again. Says export of name matte menu not found. I'm almost thinking. So app menu. Oh, I see. No, I don't see. I keep saying that. Let's look at the TS for this. Because what they did was the menu was okay. So they did button, matte trigger for menu, and then they had all of that there. In the case that we copied, I think we copied. Was it this one? Oh, yeah. This is deeper. So okay, that's why it's more complex. So you got a button up top, right? This button has a trigger. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this, so that way the button is before what we're looking for, and we're saying that icon button trigger for this save menu thing that we got here, and in order to do that, so we got the menu. So that's what we had to have. We got to say that this is. I think this needs to be save menu. Could be wrong. I'm wrong. Oh. Menu equals matte menu. Alright, well, what I'll do is grab this. and copy this because I think it's probably something dealing with the module. You have to import map menu module. I thought I had that. Let me check what I wrote. I could have spelled something wrong. Mat menu module. Import. Yeah. Map menu module. So no mistakes there. Save this again. I think I see it. I think I see the problem. Oh, there it is. Cool. So now we click that. You got settings and you got help. We're gonna change this. What we need to do is we need to say this is going to be save. This will be schedule, right? Schedule. And that schedule, I'm trying to think, that's actually gonna what's what I'm looking for. That is going to give us a bit of a problem because we need to have this a chrono task, right? And I've never done one of those before, so I gotta do some reading on that. Menu item, and then we're gonna call this publish. And what we'll do is we'll say so if we save it, we're just gonna store it in the database, right? So we're gonna leave it as null. If we have schedule, we're gonna change the form field to match that. And the only thing I want to do here is go over to menu, and then we can look at the TS file. Thought they had a handle for this. So they give you the menu, but they don't give you anything to go off of that. So what we can do is we can say, so we just gotta bind to these, right? So we can say, since they're all buttons anyway, so we can just say click, and well, we're gonna set anything there. Seems weird to just have it like that now that I think about it. Let's see. I'll leave it alone for right now. So the only one, so I'll just have them there. They're not going to do anything, but we have it. Actually, and when we do this, we actually do need to do something. We need to send off the form. So click equals. And then we don't even have any form validation. So, like I said, forms are pretty complex because there's a lot of different pieces in here that you got to do. If we miss any form that's like required, right? So we'll just say click. It's gonna say save form. I'll call it on save, and we got that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to our TS file, and we're gonna create our on save method. So it'll be on save, and we're gonna have to create a service to make the REST call that we need to make. We're gonna say go over to our services, and I mean we can have many services here, right? So what I can do is I'm gonna create a folder, and you'll see why in a second. It'll be like we're gonna have a folder called auth, and both of these are auth services, so they're gonna go in here. And this is the way for managing all of your services, so that way you don't just have standalone files. And then we're gonna create another file in here, and this is gonna be posts post save. Oh, I'll call it post service. Post dot service dot ts, because this service is going to be also able to you know, get all the information we need for a post. So we need injectable on this thing. We also need to use, I forget how you set these things up. Okay, export. So export class, and this is going to be post service. And on here, we're just gonna we need to get the HTTP in here, so we're gonna get constructor private and this is gonna be HTTP, and this is gonna be HTTP client. Boom. And what else are they complaining about? Oh, come on. There we go. Cool. So, got our HTTP client in here. They want us to put a space. Come on. Got that? Alright, so we got the I think they want us to have a trailing line, but we'll have one in a second. And after we do that, we can just go right into our setup. So don't have to worry about any of this. We are going to have to worry about authentication, so we're going to have to fix our token in a second. So let's just go into save. And what we're going to do is we're going to take in a form group. So we're going to say form, and it's going to be the form group. So it's going to be a type form group, I think. No, let's see. I'm going to say fields. And then this is going to be of type form control. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up in here and I'm going to say form submission Angular. So on submit, this the http.post. Nah, I don't like that. So I got a form here. That's all form data. It's an object for this one. Form data equals scope dot form submit form HTTP post form. Interesting. Form group, yeah, we got the form group, and you can submit it using the ng submit directive like that. Equals method post. Oh, okay, so we might be able to do it. Okay, so it takes the form group, and then if form group dot valid, form group dot value. Okay, that's what we want. Okay, that's what I needed. So we still want to use service here, and I'll just call this a form, and this is going to be a form group as stated, and then we're gonna say file, and yeah, and I'm calling it file even though we know it's cover image, right? We can do cover image, and I think that has to match anyway, so I'll do cover image, and then I'll just do a question mark to say that's optional, and then I'm gonna say this is going to be of type what type would that be? Now that we're using this, it might be type file, I guess. Never really thought about that part. So yeah, because once we get that file in the image, I don't really know how we're gonna get the type of that. Well, we can always do type of to get it to figure it out. For instance, but we already know here that it's a. Actually, it's gonna be a. I see. So what I'm gonna do is only thing I want to do is just get the value of the image. I'm gonna just do console.log, and I'm gonna say cover image dot value dot yeah, I should be able to just do that. And I want to see what the value is, and then I also want to say type of this dot cover image dot value. Oh, didn't save a lot of things. So let's see what this gives us. Alright, service doesn't like, oh, there we go. We saved it. Maybe not. So it's the service file, so I'm just gonna go over to the service, and actually we can just comment the whole thing out for right now. Angular compiler not loaded. Login service.ts. So what I'm gonna do is look at the terminal. So whatever's going on. Oh, just stop. Unhandled exception. Terminal here. Can't find module. Oh, wait, what? Oh, this is because I moved these, I believe. So let's go to alt route guard ts. It said it couldn't find this, so only thing I'm gonna do is just do /. Boom, and that's it. CLS. Oh, clear. I'm sorry. And it's already running, so I'm not gonna change anything. And the only thing I'm gonna do is go here, get the image, doesn't matter which one I pick, and then hit this, hit save, and then now, okay, so now we know it's a string. So I'm hoping that we can send this off. Yeah, Molter should be getting hooked in there to grab it. So what we're gonna do is we should be fine sending that. So let's go back to the post service and undo all that stuff. And this is gonna be type of string. And then the only thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna say this dot h when we say return this dot http dot post, and then we can say where it's gonna post because we know it's gonna be just call it a response. Lazy. And since we're posting this, and then we want to go here and we're going to say on our post, just like in our router, what are we posting, right? So in the post router we send in oh, I'm sorry, we don't have to look at that. We can, it tells us right here when you use your post method how you set this thing up. So actually I do need to look it up because I need to look at http post Molter, because we got to do some extra things here. First off, we got to send in some authorization. Second, we got to do second is we got to have our we got to control the way we set this thing up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to one of the blogs we looked at previously, and the reason is going to be I want to see how they set up their authorization header. And I mean, we can do that ourselves. I just want to see if there's a better way to do this. So we got to hijack that REST call, and we got to hijack it and figure out where it's going. So I'm gonna look in Medium, I think it was. Actually, I think that dude was on their own thing, but let's see. Material by example. Nope. Nope. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna just type Angular 9. I know that was a big one for what we were doing. Here we go. So he's got something called a hijack, I believe. Alert service, not worry about that. Count module. Register component. User, nope. Nope. So I'm just gonna control F HTTP HTTP interceptor. Error interceptor, that's not what I wanted. JWT interceptor, and okay, so this is the one we need. So the JWT interceptor intercepts HTTP requests from the application to add a JWT auth token to the authorization header if the user is logged in and the request is to the application API URL. It's implemented using it's implemented using the HTTP interceptor interface included in the HTTP client module. By implementing the HTTP interceptor interface, you can create a custom interceptor to modify HTTP requests before they get sent to the server. HTTP interceptors are added to the request pipeline in the providers section of the app module TS. So what we can do here is, I'm actually just gonna grab this because that's a lot to try to go back and forth with. So I'm gonna call this a utility, and here, new file, utils, and I'm gonna get a new file, and this is gonna be jwt-interceptor.util.ts. I thought having that .util would have did something, but it's just .ts. And actually, I'll leave it as .util. It's very specific. So what we're not going to need is this, nor we need login service. F2 login service. Alright, and then should be able to fix this from // might be // nope, // services /auth /login service. Oh, it seems like I had a duplicate here with this auth card. Wait, which one's the one we're using then? Definitely not this one. Alright, so clean that up. Now we're gonna go in here and see what's going on. Is API URL equals request.url. Don't care about that. Is this dot F2 login service dot auth value, and then we want to say if F2 auth, if auth and auth dot token, that should be good to go, and we send that off, and then we could have created something in environment variables for auth URL, but I didn't want to. So what's happening here is they got a request.clone. What does that do? So they're taking their HTTP request and they're cloning it, so that way they can set some stuff on it. Let's see. HTTP client module request dot clone. And actually, we can probably read his code here. Probably went through it. Let's go here, and let's look at not seeing it there, so I'm just gonna look it up on my own. Oh, so by implementing the HTTP interceptor interface, you can create a custom interceptor to modify HTTP requests before they get sent to the server. So I think that's all it is. When we did that clone, we took whatever the request was, and then in order to manipulate it, we had to clone it and do some things here. And this is actually all we needed to do. So I'm going to leave this as is, and we're going to send that token. So I guess at this point it doesn't really matter what we do with our alt token. We just need to hold it, and if that token is valid, then it'll work. If not, then we'll have some other things to do. So that's all I'm going to do, and let's go over to post service, and we're just gonna send this out. Well, yeah, I think this just hangs in the balance. I don't think you gotta wire that up anywhere, but we can always check. So I do gotta go up into app modules here and add this thing in here. This is JWT interceptor. I'm gonna call it auth interceptor, even though JWT is what it is. I like auth because it's just saying, hey, if you're not authorized, it's more specific. JWT is just how it works. And in the providers here, we're gonna go in auth interceptor. There it is. So I don't think we're done here. Cover image string. So what we gotta do is, and this is actually interesting, because when we send our request, if I'm correct, I believe we can do the post like this. We gotta say which endpoint we want to hit. So we're gonna do slash API slash post, right? And I'm gonna check out the router here. So post router, to post here is slash posts. I'm sorry. And now we gotta worry about the body. And in order to do this, we're just gonna hover over this, and we can look and see. So the body is still normal, I believe. And then we can always check the router to see how that worked. Yep, still has a body, even though you name it a little differently. I think I'm confusing the unit test with the actual implementation of it. So in here, we're just going to do a comma, and then the body is just going to be form dot I want to do value. I want to do how did we do that before? I think it was value. Let's see what happens there. And I want to be careful with this, because let's see here. Let's do form group dot valid. Oh yeah, this is dot value. We can try it. It ain't gonna hurt. Well, yeah, it ain't gonna hurt. We can always verify it later. And then what we'll do is we'll put and this is the part I forgot how to do, because I don't know if when we do this we have to set it up like an object and say that, for instance, we got to do cover image, and that's got to match. So let's do HTTP post molter so let's go here. Actually, Angular molter. Let me try that. Post. Oh, look at that. Oh, jeez. All right. Don't need to look at all that. So where's the HTTP client? Okay. Router.post. So this is backend, it seems like. Oh, I see. This is all the Angular stuff. So got the headers. const token equals local storage dot get item token this dot http dot post. So that's the place they're trying to hit, plus token form data, and then they set the headers. Oh, I see, file count form data dot append. So that's how they did it. So I'm just gonna try it with a I'm just gonna try to send this actually I'm just gonna try to send this like this, and no, I'm gonna do cover image, right? See what happens. I'm almost certain it's gotta be an object though. And then since it's something of the same exact name, I'm just gonna leave it be. This is not liking that at all, so I think I have to do this. Form dot value. It's not even liking that. I don't know what to do with this. Dot. Okay. Let me just go over and look at this YouTube video. How long was this? 13 minutes. I'm looking at the shortest one at this point. This first part's probably them setting it up. Cool.
Now we can make a HTTP request.
There it is.
With post method.
Post. Okay.
We will use which we will subscribe. And console log the response.
Oh, okay.
View child variable.
So let's see how they did the
Click
server.
on file upload. Application running on localhost. With functional.
I didn't see the backend
API.
set up there. So he must have already got the backend running. Oh, he's probably setting that up now. Okay, he called it file.
Case we want it to be uploaded in the directory which we with the extension of we have not required Malter file and hitting. Let's test it.
Const upload equals Malter app.use course app.post single. Okay, so this is looking for something called file. However, in our case, we have something else. So let me look back at the backend to see if I can get any more information about how this is supposed to go. Nope. So this is just middleware, so not exactly sure. I do know that over here, when we look at it, this is supposed to be fine, actually. I'm gonna do what he did. I'm just subscribe to it. Subscribe, and then we'll do console.log to the console.log response. Right. Response. So here then when you look at the post object, you get options. You do the URL, the body, and then at this point, you got your options. That is the part that got me, because if it's in the options, then we should be able to go in here and just say, hey, cover image, or maybe I need to do this, right? Cover image is cover image, but that doesn't make sense to me, and I didn't see that in old boy stuff either. URL, stream body. Oh, so these options are just like the headers and all that stuff. So we could have set the header here manually. Let's try. So we send this off. It might even work because we don't have the picture. We don't have the image in there. So it's like a normal post. So I'll save everything, and where am I? Let's go into the post component, and now that we got this, we're just going to do a few things, actually, two things. We're going to import our service privates, and this is post. This is in post service, right? Service post service, and then in here we're gonna say this dot post service dot save, and then we're gonna pass in the form this dot post, and then this dot cover image. Oh, we don't have that set up yet, so we just want to see what happens when we do this. And oop, cannot resolve. So we're gonna make life easier on us. Oop. Don't save. And then instead of doing all that extra stuff, we're gonna leave it right at HTTP, and then we can save. Cool. So far no errors, right? Oop. Null injection error. Admin module. Post service. I think I put that in the wrong place. Wait, did it say app or admin? Yeah, admin module. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's post service. There we go. Cool. So I think we got an error because it didn't take us to the page automatically. No, we don't. We're good. Alright, so let's go ahead and upload an image, even though it's not going to take anything. We do have stuff here, so we're going to say test, ang test category. Don't have anything to put in here, and this is actually required. So I'm going to hijack this for a second. I'm just going to put some options in here for the time being. Oh, and we're too much. Where is it? Go here, and for the time being, I'm going to give this a value of test. Right? It's only one value you can possibly have. So ang test, drop on this. What? Oh, it's failed to execute set attribute is not valid attribute name. Admin module.js. I'm almost certain that this has something. Wait. DOM exception failed to execute set attribute on element. I think it was this drop down that caused it. Nope. Met option template. Yeah, so that's what it is. So it failed to set the option because it's categories, and I gave it a string value. So it's an array of strings. Over here in the HTML, however, so we want the value. Oh, this is the problem right here. This thing is slightly out of place. Let me get here on that bad boy and save. Alright, bet. Alright, so we got ang test. Go down here, test. So now we got the field there, hit a value on that. We don't need an image. I'm gonna say testing from Angular, and then we just say blah, and then I'm gonna go click this button, save, and we get an error 401 unauthorized. So that token that we set in there still isn't working, or it probably timed out by now. And as of right now, I don't think we have a way of logging out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in application. I'm going to grab this token and go ahead and delete that now, and then refresh everything and start from the top. So we're going to log in. We're going to do will.example.com, and then the password is testing123. Go ahead and log in, and then now we're going to do new post, and we're going to say ang test, and then boom, boom, testing from Angular, and blah. Alright, doesn't really matter. So then now try it again, and this time I need to make sure I'm on the console so we can see. So we're still getting unauthorized. So what that means is that, let's see, because now we can we really need to go to network and check the way that was sent off, because that should have, oh, I think I didn't do /API. Well, let's see. Yeah, we did do /API/posts. We got unauthorized. The headers, application JSON. Oh yeah, this is it here. So when we're using the Molter stuff, I believe we gotta fix that. Request payload. So this got set up right. Title didn't get set right. Neither did the category. And I think what I had to do beyond this is I need to set the value to, like when you make a selection, to set the form control. So I'm just gonna go over here to examples and see how they did it. Yep, so they set a form control on it, and it's on selected. right? And then if you go here, select it, yep. So this is one whole corner here. You got form control selected. Not really worried about anything else. Native mat select form control. Okay, so that's a form control too. So let's check this thing out one more time. Title, category, content. So if we go over in the HTML and then we check the category, mat select form control name is, oh, we get bound to title. This form control name needs to be bound to category. And then here we got the mat label, mat labels, all good. So let me just try this again, and I don't know why the test, the full thing didn't go through, because it's supposed to be ang test for the value. Do ang test. Now this should be test, and this should be well, clear all this out. You can check the console, and then button and save. So we're still getting an error on this thing, and we're getting a favorite error unauthorized. So we're actually hitting the back end now, but we're still not getting the headers right. So there's probably got to be some setup that's got to be done on that HTTP interceptor, and I'm just gonna go here to check this thing out. HTTP interceptor. Most interceptors actually, I think I know what happened. It might have something to do with the token that we're using. So let's go here and say console.log auth. And the reason why I did it that way is because I don't know how that auth looks, and if that isn't formatted properly, then that'll explain why we're not seeing what we're seeing. So here, save, and then actually that thing didn't even run. I probably should have did this console.log a little bit sooner actually. As soon as we get up in here, add auth header. Oh yeah, right. No, we can do it right here. Control V, auth. The sooner the better. We can see if this thing is even working. You know, if it ain't even working, then we know that. Then we already know why. What's wrong? Now let's save. And I'm still not seeing anything printing out. So that just tells me that our HTTP interceptor isn't working. Once we put this in play though, I don't even see this thing working. So let's go over here and do, I'm just going to look for this intercept method. Intercept. Right. So let's find out where they intercept. And apparently in a lot of places. Yeah, so something's got to hit that first. I think I get it. I think when I went into the providers, we didn't set this up properly. So I think we gotta say, so for instance, right, we said in our app module, we just said we're gonna provide this, wait, auth interceptor, right? But it's a little bit more complex than that, because I think we gotta say something like this. We gotta make an object, and we're gonna say provide, and at this point it's gonna be HTTP interceptor, HTTP interceptors, I guess, and then it's gonna be comma use existing, and it's gonna be our auth interceptor, and I think that's what we need. I think, you know, I'm not 100% sure here. So now we're telling Angular to go ahead and do whatever it does with this HTTP interceptor, and go ahead and you know, use that throughout the application. And then we're saying, okay, cannot mix multi-providers and regular providers. Okay, so I need to just go to provide app module. That's it. Use class multi-true. That's what we missed. Okay, so now we just figured out what that multi means. In a weird way. We're supposed to use class, so use class because it's a class. And and then I guess it was saying you couldn't use multiple providers, so that's what that is. Use no, it's multi true. And this multi just must be like I said. Let's look at the did I close it? I did close it. We're not using this. I don't want to save just yet because I want to get back to that error if possible. Damn it. So close. Okay, don't have a choice now. So let's go ahead, run this thing. Should be logged in at the very least. So we do aim test here, test. Not worry about this, but I'll upload an image anyway. Description is going to be testing from Angular. Alright, and then we're gonna upload that. Oh, forgot to look on the terminal. What? HTTP error response. Oh, so this, and it's a 400 this time, so that means we uploaded something wrong. So post validation failed. So what were we missing? And actually, let's go to the network. I'm gonna have to do this again. There we go. So now let's look at what we sent, and I believe it's this. So the bearer token set properly. Ang test testing from Angular, and look at the content, right? We can change that. And then what else? Status is null. Date active is null. So what I'm thinking of doing is, I don't know. Let's say how to remove values from form group. remove control from form group. How to remove form group? Because we got default casing, right? So wonder what happens if we just don't put anything down. And this is gonna be another test. So let's do this. Mongoose default. No. Let's see. Don't default if no. This means even though we set a property undefined, Mongoose will not use default value. Okay. So we gotta look into this default value and how it works. So when we define a default value against a model schema in the code below, I have a block schema with default value created by blah 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 blah. If we try to add a block without specifying, but if we specify null, they will be marked as defined, so that Mongoose will set null rather than the default value. How about undefined? Will Mongoose use the default value? Yes. Wait, the result was shown below. Mongoose didn't use default value for block 3. Oh, I see. This means that even though we set properly to undefined, Mongoose would not use default value. This is because Mongoose just check if the document object contains properties. If yes, no matter if it has value, if null, or even if it's undefined, it was undefined. So Mongoose would not use default value. So finally, rule: if you want Mongoose to use default value in a property, do not specify it in the document object. Okay, so I just thought of something. We can make our form builder dynamic. So this is part of that dynamic form building stuff, I guess. But I don't think we have to use an array though. Let's see. Let's say we can say, let's look at the form group documentation. And I know I said I would stop at 10:30, but you guys see what's happening. It's things just are coming. Alright, let's control F form builder. So let's do this. Creating form. This is just a saving for the manual creating of form stuff. I wonder, so I guess it might be better to create that form array, because I don't think you can remove anything from the form once it's there. Creating dynamic forms. Yeah, so we're gonna have to use this, and the reason why I want to use this is because, again, if these fields are if they do have something, then we need to add them into the form. So let's see how this thing works. So you gotta use form array, and then it seems like it works almost the same way. Import the form array class, Angular forms. Define a form array control. You can initialize a form array with any number of controls from 0 to many by defining them in an array. Add an aliases property to the form group instance for profile form to define the form array. Use form builder dot array method to define the array, and the form builder dot control method to populate the array with an initial control. The aliases control. Wait, this is interesting. The aliases control in the form group. I didn't see no aliases. Oh, I see it right there. The aliases control in the form group instance is now populated with a single control until more controls are added dynamically. A getter provides easy access to the aliases in the form. Oh, I see. Define a method to dynamically insert an aliases control. Is the alias dot push? Wait, what? Define a method to dynamically insert an alias control into the aliases form array, the form array push. Okay, so you push it onto there. In the template, each control is displayed as a separate input field. Okay, so I think we can work with this, because what's going to happen is we're going to say, and we're only going to use those if they exist. So we're going to say, good thing I did use the, and actually we got to use the form builder. So we're going to do form builder dot, I think it's normal at first, right? Yeah, you create your group and then you do your comma aliases. So let's go up in here in the group, and then right here we're gonna say aliases, I believe. I think we gotta close the first object, and then we do comma aliases, right? Aliases, I think. Let me see. Check the spelling. Oh, that's a whole nother thing. So we go here, and then finish that form builder, and then that's going to fit. Whatever. Did I delete the constructor? I must have deleted. No, it's right there. So now we got aliases, and I think we gotta import this as well. Form array. So do this dot fb dot array. So we use this array thing here, and where is semicolon at? Oh, probably at the end. No, that's not where you put that. Aliases, this time form builder array, and in here it'll just be this dot form builder dot control. Right, so that's what that is doing. And what will happen is we'll dynamically add the status and the trying to get the words right. So we'll be dynamically adding the status and the time active private form array. Oop, and this is going to be, actually no, I'm sorry, I don't need to put that here. I need to put that up here. I need to say alphabetical order. Look at that. Form array. So something's off here. I think I don't know what I did. And I don't think I need access to this anymore. What did I change? Facebook is used before its initialization. Thought so. Okay, so wait, we had that doing before. So what's the problem now? So let's go up here and import form array again. Form array. And one word, no, 2 words. And the only thing we're going to do is pull these 2 out. Cool. So now, I think I grabbed something I wasn't supposed to. So then now we can go and say, what am I trying to do here? Aliases. So there's a comma here. Oh, I knew I wasn't crazy. So before we close out the form builder object, it's so weird because it's profile form is this stuff form builder group. Everything's closed there, but then they just put a comma. So let's just go up and follow that. Comma, aliases, and then we're gonna say this dot form builder dot array, and then open and closing. Oh, I forgot. That is another form group. So I think I don't need this. I'll just go right here. Yes, there we go. All right. Took a few rounds to get this thing figured out, but we got it now. Here, and this is actually too far out. There we go. And then only thing we have to do in here is this dot form builder dot array. No, I'm sorry, dot control, and then leave a blank. There we go. So now we can dynamically create our stuff. For right now, we don't need to do anything with our what's the word I'm looking for? We don't have to do anything with the I can't get the word out with the status or the time because they're already good. Even though I got the form array in here, I guess because I didn't use it in this way, I don't have to import it. So because I guess it's on the form builder object. Maybe if I did this another way, it would cause a problem. Okay. So now we should be able to send off our post. So now we're going to say ang test category. We don't have a category. I'm going to see if I can get up in here and finesse. I'm going to try at least. So I can get on that div here. I might be able to set the value. Is this it? We just gotta figure out where the value is, and then we can set it. So these dots, I mean, there's stuff in here that we can do. That's not what we're looking for though. So I don't think we're gonna get lucky. So I'm just gonna go back and do what I did before. Put that test value right up in there. So what'll happen in the future is that we'll on that ng on init we'll populate the categories with some values. So like I said, if this works, I'll take it offline. I might work it a bit, and then I'll pick up tomorrow. At least with you guys, I'll pick up tomorrow. Testing from Angular, and then we're just gonna do both. And instead of the description, that probably should be called preview. So let's just go ahead and go to the console. Let's save. Oh, look at that. So this worked and this worked. So look at that. Now we have our stuff working. Excuse me. And then the only other thing would be, actually I can finish this part. It's not gonna take too long. We're gonna add on those dynamic controls. For instance, if we were to do schedule or publish, I'm not gonna do anything dramatic with when I say dramatic, I mean I'm not gonna do a lot when it comes to delivering this stuff. I'm not gonna try to do the chrono tasks and stuff like that. I'm just gonna show that we're gonna put stuff in the database and we're just going to save it. So what's gonna happen is let's fill out the rest of these options, right? The other buttons that we have was we had save, schedule, publish, right? Let's just finish the code. Let's finish off with setting those values and doing the dynamic form control for that. So what'll happen is we'll say on schedule we're going to go and you're going to do this dot post service dot save, and we're going to do more of the same thing, right? We're going to do this dot post, but before we get there we're going to add those new controls with new values. So what we can do is we can go back over to the documentation, and this is a get aliases thing, and they have an add aliases, and we can use this because we're going to let's see here, define a method to dynamically insert an alias control into the line into the aliases form array. The form array dot push method inserts the control as a new item in the array. I don't know about how this name will work though. In the template, each control is displayed as a separate input field. To attach the aliases from your form model, you must add it to the template, similar to the form group name input provided by form group name directive. Form array name binds communication from the form array instance to the template. Okay, so not really too worried about this, right? What I'm trying to do is, guess it's unavoidable, because once we get this form control, we gotta give it a value. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this whole thing because this is actually useful. Let's go and put this up top and say Control V, get down in there and get this right first. Shift tab, and then there we go. And what it really is we gotta go a little bit deeper, because these aliases are from here. So I don't know how that skipped around. So we gotta do this dot post dot aliases, right? I guess I gotta do dot get aliases. No, that didn't work. Oh, I see. So you need both of these. use the getter syntax to create an aliases property to retrieve the aliases form array. So that's why we had to import the form array up here. So form array, comma, there. So now we've got this thing here. So I'm just gonna put this right above it. And actually, I like stuff like these. I like to put up in here because now this is this dot post dot get aliases as form array. So now we got a way to get it. So now we can say this dot aliases, and when we type this alias stuff in here, we're actually talking about that getter on aliases. So you see that, and then we do dot push this dot form builder dot control. In this particular case, I don't know what the name of this is going to be. The aliases control in the form group instance is now populated with a single control until more controls are added dynamically. So what I'm thinking is to say you'd have to use an index in order to do this. A getter provides easy access to the aliases in the form array instance compared to repeating the profile form. So it's like there we get a control, but we don't set the value on it. The form array instance represents an undefined number of controls in the array. It's convenient to access a control through a getter, and this approach is easy to repeat for additional controls. Define a method to insert an alias control into the aliases array. Inserts a new control as a new item in the array. In the template, each control is displayed as a separate input field. To attach the aliases from your model, from your form model, you must add it to the template. To attach the aliases from your form model, you must add it to the template. Similar to the form group name input, form array name binds communication from the form array instance to the template with form array name directive. I'm not too worried about this because right, they got aliases right here, and then I guess if you add the alias, you get your first one. And since they already had that empty alias just chilling right there, that's what it is. But we don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this aliases thing as empty in here. Reason being is it's empty. So got that, cool. And I guess it might take me a little bit more reading. So if I can't get this in the next few minutes, and I'll pick up later. So this is it here. So form control name. So they have to use the index in order to do that and set it. So that's how they do that there. But what if you want to give it a name? So I'm gonna say Angular form array control name. Form control and form array with property names. Form adding new control. The value of your form resembles. That's not what I'm looking for. How do you push name form controls to form array? There we go. The only workaround found so far is to put each of those into their own group. For example, let f8 form this dot custom fields dot for each field, let group equals new form group, group dot add control, field dot name, new form control, fa dot push group. This form dot add control, custom fields, fa. Oh, so in that case, if I did that, actually, let's send this off and see. Yeah, I'll pick up on this tomorrow, guys, because I don't want to get too far gone with this. So I'm just gonna stop everything here. Otherwise, I'll be going till late until tomorrow. So let me just save our changes. Git commit -m modified rest endpoints removed slash API from rest from routes, right? From express routes and modified the Angular proxy config to remove slash API from requests. And then we say continued building form for post. Added post service and completed the form template. Next steps, dynamically add status and date active or whatever. What are those fields names? Yeah, date active. Programmingly. Added post services and completed the form template. Next steps, dynamically add status and date active fields programmatically. That's good enough for now because that's where we are. And git push -u. So, alright guys, everything is pushed up to my GitHub. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You know, a lot going on. Now that we're getting some of this tedious stuff out the way in terms of like, you know, me setting up my terminal, all that stuff, things will start to flow a little bit more smoothly as we progress. So just like I said, thank you for tuning in, and if you got any questions, feel free to comment or reach out to me on social media. I will respond to both. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and see you guys tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, see you guys Monday. Jeez. Yeah, I might do some specials, something over the weekend, because this is heavily on my mind. So I really can't see myself doing anything else right now.